Okay, we're going to open up a VTA file with VTH and do some conversion and get it into the new style. So open and filter to a .vta format. There's an older file. It takes a little bit longer to import the old format. It's got a bunch of conversion to do. And this is an 800 by 600 resolution, so it's fairly small. So it opened up. There's obviously a whole bunch of controls, but not perfect. There's some things that aren't the right sizes, some spacing that doesn't look quite right. So we will have to do a bit of cleanup. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the display size just to give me some more room to work. Just go 1024 by 768. And what that does, it gives me some room to drag controls around and see if there's anything underneath them. So when you open these VTA files, sometimes you can end up with controls that shouldn't be there, and I think those are stranded from the editing buffer in the VTA. In this case, it doesn't look like we have any. I don't see any controls that are hiding underneath the ones I want. So now it's just a matter of cleaning up all the controls and getting the sizes right and mapping over some PLC addresses that don't get correctly mapped in this VTA file open. So you'll do a lot of things like selecting controls and getting them spaced properly. So spacing, remove horizontal F5, and let's zoom in, take a closer look. Control plus to zoom in. We'll take a look at these here. So I'll click in here and then I'll do Control A to select all, and then F4 to remove vertical spacing. So look what happened. We got some controls that are on top of each other now. That's because the group box didn't have enough space. So let's open up the group box size, select them all again, F4 again, and then we can move the group box back down. And it's not happy with me doing that. Back down to size. Okay, so you'll do a whole bunch of control cleanup, probably an hour's worth of work to get things lined out, but that's all fairly self-explanatory. I want to talk about the controls that lose their PLC mapping. So those are going to be multiplots, and we go to variable setup, and there's nothing there. So open up the analogs and reset those. T5 average is the baseline in this multiplot, and then the 6 thermocouples. Okay, so that takes care of that multiplot. Now another control that does not get mapped over properly is surge control. So we click on the surge control. It did get the X and Y PLC tags, but the curve setup is blank. So this is an older style Y versus X PLC 5. And look for those surge control coefficients, and there they are, and get that set up. So that takes care of the surge control. Now the only other controls that doesn't get mapped over properly are all the alarm and event logs. So in this banner, it did come through defaulting to select all the alarms and shutdowns, so that took care of itself. But the logs, and this may be this alarm banner, nothing. So we have to go through each banner and log and make sure that those are correctly configured. Alright, so that's fairly self-explanatory. Now I'll get out of the zoom by hitting escape, and then we got to make the controls fit properly in an 800 by 600 environment. And this can be a bit of trial and error. So right now I've got things expanded to a 1024 by 768. How would I know if it's going to fit in 800 by 600? Well, I'd have to go set the display back to 800 by 600. But first, let's just make sure that things are reasonably small. So we can go, let's see, how would I do that? Go look through each of the tabs And one thing you won't have to worry about is any controls that are docked. Docking means it expands or contracts to the size of its parent control. So all the logs are generally docked because they fit into this tab without anything else in the tab, so they consume the entire space. How about this one? Yeah, looks like we might be running out of room here. So what would we do? We would select everything we need to move and control to deselect things that you don't want to move, and then just drag it up a little bit. Looks like I missed some arrows. Oh, missed this pipe too. Use the arrow key to get it just right. And there we go. So now I've got a little more room. So can I move the control down? No, I can't. It didn't let me. Why? Because something else in this collection of tabs is all the way down to the bottom. So we search around until we find it. Looks like we've got decent room here. We can make a little bit more space. Should be okay though. Performance, let's dock this. It didn't come through as dock, so we dock it, and now it'll fit to its container. Surge control, maybe make it a little bit smaller. Oops. There we go. Performance, docked. Yard valves, a little bit too wide. Seal system, not bad. Fuel, okay. Okay, lube, we're going to have a problem. See how this stuff here is bound right up into the edge of the control? So that's preventing us from moving this, make it fit into an 800 by 600. So that gave us a bunch of room there. Yeah, there'll be a bit of cleanup. Now let's just check and see if we can make this into an 800 by 600 and have it fit. So go back to display setup, 800, 600. Yeah, it didn't look like it quite fit. So when we resize this thing, it's going to not let us, it is let us get a little bit further out. But it looks like we just got it. So this main tab now fits in that 800 by 600. So that's a bit of the trial and error that you have to go through converting the VTA to the VTH. Those are pipes, so they don't let me resize them. Okay, that's it.